Greetings, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Welcome back to my Valheim series. This episode, a bit of a special one. We're going to be bringing the Silver Age to an end by working on killing the next boss, otherwise known as Moda. Now, I've taken the little boat up to where Moda is with 3 eggs in the hold. Now, this serpent thought it might be a good idea to, give me a bit of a run for my money. Luckily for me, though, I actually have a fairly strong wind behind me. Now, you might be wondering, what direction am I sailing in? Well, that's actually a really good question. And pro tip, you should probably be looking in front of you a lot more often than I was. That could have been very painful had I been even a few seconds later on turning away. Now, the serpent does get a bit of a nibble on the boat here, but because the serpent had already been tailing us for a while, we can quite effectively give them the slip here. And, resume our previous heading. Now, we are, as I indicated, on our way up towards Moda. Now, Moda on our map is up to the north. It's a little bit north of Elder Island, which is where we've just pulled up to now. It's getting kind of late in the day, and I wanted to get a new rested buff, as well as having an opportunity just to touch off the boat there and get it back up to full health. So this is quite a convenient little moment to stop and take a little breath. Alright, we're getting pretty close now. As you saw on the mini-map there, Moda is just a little bit to the north. In fact, on the horizon there you can see that there is a fairly tall mountain. That's pretty much where we're heading at the moment. We don't know what biome is going to be between us and the mountains. I'm crossing my fingers here that it's not going to make me go through the plains or something worse to get up onto the mountain. Seeing a few pine trees there, I'm reassured a little bit that at least there's going to be a bit of black forest, and that means we don't need to take any special precautions as part of getting up onto the mountain. So, a little bit of good news. Now, we're just going to continue sailing up this coast for a little bit because we just want to get as close as we can to Moda. Also, just to make sure that this isn't some tiny little island that we could just as easily be sailing around, to get to Moda on a different island. Now, as we're cruising up here, I'm starting to realise that those are some seriously jagged bits of rock up there. And that is Mistlands. Now, we're not really ready for Mistlands just yet. There are some very nasty little critters in there that very definitely like to go bump in the night. So we're going to be keeping ourselves a fairly healthy distance away from that. while we continue on our task at hand, which is to get set up ready to kill Moda. We're going to set ourselves up a little beachhead here, just manoeuvring the boat in quietly into the shore. We're going to drop a little shack, put our portal down, and just generally make sure that if the worst were to happen, we're going to be able to get back here in very short order. Alright, and one small eternity later, here we are with our shack and the portal set up. Now it's time to start getting our supplies ready. So we're going to head back to base. We need to make ourselves a bunch of arrows, and I've decided I'm going to use obsidian arrows for this fight. Many times when I've done Moda before, I've used fire arrows. Now, the differences are not huge when it comes to Moda. Obsidian arrows, the big benefit there is it just does all of its damage up front. Fire arrows is more of a set and forget kind of arrangement where you need to keep replenishing the fire. A bit like what we've done with the previous bosses, Elder particularly. I don't want the fight to necessarily be that long if I can avoid it, so I'm working on using obsidian arrows. That said though, I am taking a few fire arrows with me just in case. Now, if you are planning on soloing Moda and using fire arrows to do it, I'm going to recommend two things. I'm going to recommend that you take a second bow with you. It's not a guaranteed that you'll need it, but depending on the amount of durability and how many times you miss, you may well run out of durability on your primary bow, in which case carrying a second one is going to make the fight go a lot better than, you know, trying to finish the fight in melee. Trust me, that doesn't always go well. So if you are planning on using fire arrows, definitely carry two bows. Retrospectively speaking, at the time, I was thinking I might need a second bow as well, but I failed to take into account the extra damage that the obsidian arrows do. Given that I would need less, and I missed a few times, but I guess not as many times as I have done on previous fights. So the durability on my main bow actually held up quite well, so I never needed to go to the secondary bow. But if it's your first time doing Moda, I'm going to say carry two bows. Use fire arrows and bring at least 2 stacks of fire arrows and you should be good. Now we're climbing up that near vertical mountain. We found ourselves a cave. We're going to mark that one. There may be a time when I need caves for greater deeds to come. But for now, we're just marking them for safekeeping. This is a very picturesque lump of mountain that we've got here. Surprisingly few things around. Nice to see that we've got a marker there just confirming our already existing knowledge that Moda is just up and over this rise. Alright, and here is Moda's altar. Yeah. Gotta say, I wasn't particularly excited by how exposed this altar is. That said, though, you know, you work with what you got. I can see there is a stone giant down there, or a stone golem down there. My construction has obviously brought him into, you know, be angry mode. That said, though, you really need to clear out the area around where the motor altar is, because it's a fairly long fight, and you're going to have your hands full with motor. You really don't want other things trying to join the party. So whatever you need to do, get it all done, get it all cleared away before you actually summon motor. Now, you may wonder why I'm putting a crafting bench down just to build a chest. Well, I learned the hard way that the eggs can sometimes despawn if you're not careful. So, just to make sure I don't lose any eggs, I've dropped a chest there. As I relay each one up, I drop it in the chest, go back and get the next one. Rinse and repeat until I've got all three. In this case, I've decided that I need to get this trench dug. In which case, I'm only bringing 2 of the eggs up, and I'm going to bring the 3rd one with me on the day when I decide to do the motor kill. Now, what I'm doing here, motor's got a couple of combat modes. Sometimes they're on the ground, sometimes they're in the air. When they're in the air, they do like dragony kind of things with their breath, and consequently having somewhere to take cover is very important. Now, the other thing to know about the whole somewhere to take cover, this is another fight where you're going to be using your bow a lot, and stamina is very important. So you'll see me walking in and out of the trench here, making sure that I don't need to run or jump in order to get in and out of each end of the trench. And that's very important because running and jumping both use stamina, and I would much rather keep that stamina for my next bow shot. Now, we've fast forwarded to the next day. I'm up here, ready to go. I'm thinking, yep, I want to kill motor, and then I look at the weather. And the weather is like, I'm a game. What can I possibly do to enhance Rob's day? And summoning a blizzard is what it came up with. But as it turns out, the blizzard's not that relevant, because when you summon motor, and yes, saving your game before you do this is a good idea, but when you summon motor, the weather actually changes anyway, so it doesn't matter. Alright, so you put the 3 eggs, 1 in each of the little holes, and then you activate the altar. And then motor spawns in as this gigantic dragon. Now, the dragon moves around a lot, and it is really hard to properly leave and shoot them when they're moving. And if this is your first time doing the fight, I wouldn't even bother. I would just wait until the dragon stops somewhere or lands like this, and do all your bow shooting then. And then in the time where motor's just flying around like a crazy dragon, let your stamina build up for the next burst. Now, Motor did spend quite a long time on the ground this fight, which did confuse me a little bit, but I'm not going to complain too loudly. Yeah, and you'll just notice there that I did actually bring a couple of tasty meads with me. The advantage of the tasty mead is it gives you a good shot of stamina back. The trade-off is it does slow your health regen, but I hadn't actually taken any damage yet, so the health regen wasn't really of a concern at the moment. It was more just a, hey, I've got Motor in a really good spot. Didn't seem to want to move in a hurry, so that's as good a time as any to keep up the arrows and do as much damage as I could. Now, when Motor does the ice attack from the air, that's when you want to be taking cover, because if you get hit by it, it does kind of hurt. And once again, Motor's on the ground. Now, when Motor's on the ground, Motor does this breath attack, which hurts like a crazy fella. And the other thing that hurts like a crazy fella is that swipe. And as you can see, I only got really hit once by each, and I've lost, I don't know, 30 or 40% of my health. So it's not exactly a fight that you're going to be able to tank. You've just got to evade the attacks as much as you can, and do as much damage as you can in between the attacks. Motor's attacks are primarily just in the horizontal plane, so anytime you can quote-unquote get under the guns like this, you just go crazy, because it's just free damage at this stage. Alright, well, I decided to strap on my man pants and give this melee thing a bit of a go. With the bone mass buff on. I know I'm not going to be getting hit as hard. And, you know, I was getting a bit impatient, so I thought I might give this a whirl. Go. One boss permanently deleted. Well, actually not. You can go back and resummon Motor as many times as you like, but we have managed to destroy Motor. We have got the Motor trophy, which we will hang a little bit later. The main loot item that you want from this boss, though, is little glowy orb things, because you need one of these things, an artisan table. Now, the artisan table, you don't actually do very much directly with the table, which is why I'm actually just going to put it upstairs out of the way. It is more of a bench that enables you to build other stuff within the proximity of the bench. And as you can see, as soon as I put that down, the only thing on the table is the wooden missiles, which are largely irrelevant at this stage. But it enables us to build the other key upgrades that we are going to need for this next age. Now, the first thing I'm trying to get down here is the blast furnace. The blast furnace is what we put our next material through, which is the black metal. Black metal is the main material that we're going to be gathering from the plains biome. There are lots of other materials we'll be gathering, but the black metal is it's the new metal, and that is what will be part of our material requirements for our next round of upgrades. That said, though, black metal we're not going to need as much as we have other metals in previous biomes. The material that we're going to need the most of in out of this biome is actually linen, which is material created from flax, which is a farmed crop. Now, that works for me because farming is very easy to do, and I'll be doing most of it offline as I have done for previous biomes. So that side of the growth of the technology is not going to be quite as dull and repetitive as it has been in some of the previous biomes. Now here we are back at the altars. Here is Moda's altar, and as you can see, the power you get from that is that you always get a tailwind when you're sailing. Now, if you had a multiplayer group and you were doing a lot of sailing, I could see some merit to having it, but when you're solo, I honestly don't think I've ever actually equipped that power. But, you know, to each their own. If you see benefit from that power, I say more power to you. But at this point, I can't make a reasonable excuse for using it. So, yeehaw. I can't remember if I'd actually gone back and read what's on all of these altars before, so I just thought I'd step back through them just in case. Now we're going to walk back to base here. Several eternities later, we are now looking at putting down some more upgrades. We have our spinning wheel. This is what is going to turn our flax into linen thread. Now we don't have anything to put in it yet, and that is because we haven't actually been to the plains. Stay tuned. This is actually the last episode of this season. Season 3 will commence soon, and it will commence with my first adventures in the plains. Now we're just getting some materials together here. We're going to throw down a windmill. Now the windmill is what we need to grind barley into barley flour. Random fresh fish on my little patio area here. You do see random things from time to time, but we'll save Mr. Fishy for later. In the meantime, we're going to throw down our windmill. And the windmill, it's the first crafting device that is very much driven by the weather. And there will be times where there will be almost no wind and it will not be running. So it's a bit of a set and forget it kind of crafting workstation, that one. Alright, and that brings us to the end of Season 2. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to be notified when Season 3 comes out, make sure you are subscribed and you've hit the notification bell. If you've liked the video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. In the meantime, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Thank you very much for watching, and have yourself a fantastic day.